Today in the Fresh Run Club, why Richard Hamilton is the greatest runner in NBA history. Welcome back to the Fresh Run Club. So today's video, I want to talk about running, but I want to talk about running and one of my other passions, and that is basketball. So I am a diehard Detroit Pistons fan. And while it is hard right now to be a fan, I was fortunate enough to experience a championship run. And my favorite player on the 2004 NBA champion Detroit Pistons was Richard Hamilton. Now, I think Richard Hamilton is the best runner in NBA history, and I have a couple reasons why. But first, let's get into Richard Hamilton's game. So if you're not familiar with Rip Hamilton, he was the maestro of the mid-range, which means he took a lot of mid-range jumpers. So they weren't dunks, they weren't layups, they weren't three-pointers, they were kind of in between, long twos. And he was an absolute assassin at those mid-range jumpers. The second part of his game that really stood out was he never stopped moving. And this is where the Richard Hamilton is the greatest runner in NBA history story begins to build. Now, I would love to show you some clips of Richard Hamilton draining mid-range jumpers and the beauty, the art, the poetic nature of him running with or without the ball as part of his incredible game. However, that is a copyrighted broadcast of the National Basketball Association and may not be retransmitted, reproduced, rebroadcast, or otherwise distributed or used in any form without the express written consent of the NBA. So I will link some clips to Richard Hamilton's game in the description, so check those out so you know what I'm saying. But the first reason I think Richard Hamilton is the greatest runner in the NBA is because he never stopped running. The guy was always moving, whether it was coming off screens, making backdoor cuts, he just never stopped moving. Now, the NBA has some really cool stats, including the average distance in miles that their players run throughout the course of a game. Unfortunately, Richard Hamilton played before they had those stats, but just as an example, this year in 2022-23, Fred VanVleet and LaMelo Ball are both tied for the NBA league lead for average distance per game with 2.77 miles per game. So that's a good chunk. I would venture to guess that Richard Hamilton would be right up there, if not higher than those two. Now, my second argument of why Richard Hamilton is the greatest runner in NBA history is a little bit of maybe mythical, legendary type status. So the first piece of evidence I saw is a 2004 article from USA Today titled "Pistons Hamilton Runs 'em Ragged." And the lead of the article is, "The Energizer Bunny has nothing on Richard Hamilton." I'll link this article below, but it goes on to detail how basically he just never stops running, some stuff I already talked about before. But there is a quote in this article that really stood out. Hamilton, who runs a 5-minute mile, says running comes naturally to him. He was a miler on his high school track team and never lost a regular season meet, even though he never practiced because of basketball. Now, where it really gets interesting and may delve even further into legend status is a post on the Let'sRun.com forum. This is a post from 2007 that says, "Just heard it on the ESPN broadcast of the Pistons-Timberwolves game. Mark Jones said that he talked to Rip Hamilton, and when he asked the Piston about his fastest mile ever, Rip responded with, like 420 or 415. Not sure if I believe this. I first heard that Rip dropped sub 5, which I can definitely believe, but 415, the best part is when Tom Tolbert said 415, that's world class." So this is the first piece of evidence that we see Richard Hamilton running a sub 5-minute mile, close to a 4-minute mile, which is absolutely incredible. Now, I showed you the quote. I'm not going to link to this. There were a lot of, let's just say, wildly problematic takes about Richard Hamilton and NBA basketball players in this forum, but it is some truly disgusting stuff. So I'm not going to link to that. But there are many different posts on the Let's Run forum about Richard Hamilton's running prowess. Nonetheless, for this to come up in an ESPN broadcast is also interesting. And while it may not be 100% true, it's just another little tidbit, another little factoid that shows that Richard Hamilton, whether he could run a 4:15 mile or a 5-minute mile or a 5:15 mile, he still had a lot of running talent. The fact that this legend sort of grew. He wasn't just some guy out there running 8-minute miles and then playing basketball. He probably was a really good runner in high school when he was, I guess, not even focusing on track, just showing up to meets and running. And the third reason I think Richard Hamilton is the greatest runner in NBA history is, as far as I know, he is the only active NBA player to be featured in Runner's World. And that's not to say that an appearance in Runner's World determines if you are the best runner in NBA history, but show me another active NBA player who had an article in Runner's World. I remember when this came out, I had a subscription to Runner's World. I love the magazine, and to see my favorite basketball player show up in this like cool interview where he's wearing his practice jersey jersey. He had the Nike Huarache 2K4s on, and he was talking about running. I'll link that article in the description below. Some pretty funny quotes from it. I'll just read a couple of those. It's a Q&A, so they ask him kind of basic questions. What type of runner are you? I'm the type of runner that runs to exhaustion. If it's my normal workout day with basketball drills, what I'll do is I'll wake up in the morning and I'll run a mile. When I run that mile, I will actually sprint it. I don't go out there just to walk a little bit or to jog a little bit of it. I get out there and it's an all-out sprint. I'm the type of person who believes the faster I get my heart rate up, the more I get out of a run. I guess he is not a zone 2 training type of guy, but thought that was kind of funny. They also ask him if he ever ran high school cross country or track, and he gives this story about how he was running a mile and he thought he was done, but he really had another lap to go, so he was totally gassed. And apparently that was the only race that he ever lost in his high school career, which is pretty funny. My favorite quote, do you have a favorite pair of running shoes? And he says, I wear anything. I could wear basketball sneakers, which as someone who has made my fair share of running shoe reviews, and I'm getting super technical about, oh, the heel lock doesn't feel great in this shoe. I watch Richard Hamilton, an elite world-class athlete who's like, yeah, I'll just go run in basketball shoes. So an important reminder that, you know what, you don't necessarily need the $180 shoe to be a really fast runner. Richard Hamilton, case in point. So this was really cool. I remember I cut this out of the magazine and framed it and put it on my wall. I thought it was so cool. So those are my 3 reasons why Richard Hamilton is the greatest runner in NBA history. If you have your own NBA player that you think is a better runner, let me know. I've heard a case for Allen Iverson, Fred VanVleet. I showed earlier, he runs a lot of miles. So let me know if you have someone who you think is a better runner than Richard Hamilton. I think you'll struggle to find someone whose game is literally built around running. There is just this legendary status of running like a 4:15 or 4:20 mile, and was featured in Runner's World Magazine. Those are 3 pretty compelling arguments, if I do say so of myself. But that is today's video. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you soon.